In this video, we're going to talk about refining a watch list. Refining a watch list basically means cutting down to a few trading assets, a few currency pairs, or a few commodities to work with long term in your trading career. There are a lot of benefits to actually refining a watch list. If you cut down to a few pairs, you get to specialize on those few pairs, and you don't have the confusion of trying to track every single currency pair, running through them all looking for trades. Doing this is not beneficial. It's best to just stick to a few different currency pairs. They're going to give you enough opportunities each week to actually make profits. So you don't need to be chasing loads, and it's going to cut out a lot of the confusion. So aside from it being a lot more streamlined, there's actually another thing to consider when refining a watch list, and that is going to be timing. Depending where you are in the world, you are probably going to want to trade different currency pairs. That's because of session characteristics and volume. Now, if we look at the charts here, we can see the sessions we just spoke about in the previous video very lightly. We have Asia session, London session, and New York session. Now, we can see by looking at this pair, which is GBP USD, which is the British pound versus the US dollar, that in the Asia session, we normally don't have much movement, right? We have quite a flat price action where we just trade back and forth. When we then break out to London session, we get a little bit more direction. The London session started here, finished here. It was a clear movement through that session, which would have allowed us to profit one way. Whereas here, we're struggling really, we're going back and forth. The New York session, obviously this day was quite rangy as well. But for the most part, the London session and New York session is going to be the best time to trade GBP USD and other pound and US dollar crosses. Asia session there, very flat. London session brought a huge move, and the New York session brought another huge movement as well. And we can see the same kind of thing here with a flat sideways Asia session. And then while London session here was quite flat, we had some clear movement, right? We had clear direction from here to here, whereas this was started here, finished here. So very sideways action in Asia again, very clear direction in London, and then a large move in New York. So you can see by trading GBP USD, the best time to trade is going to be through London or New York sessions. So if you're based in the UK, the US, or Europe, this is going to be good for you. Whereas if you're based in, Australia or Asia somewhere, you're actually going to struggle to trade these pairs through the Asian session, which is going to be the daytime for you. So making sure you choose a currency pair that suits your needs is definitely wise. I mean, if we look at AUD JPY, I believe this is going to be a little bit different. We should see a little bit more movement through the Asia sessions, as we can see. And also with things like NZD USD. So just looking at these examples here, we have clear direction from here up to here in the Asia session. London and New York very flat. We have clear movement from here down to here in the Asia session. London and New York very flat once again. So choosing a pair that suits your time zone and wherever you're based in the world is also very good. And that is just definitely a big consideration when you are refining your watch list. Now, how many pairs should you trade? Well, I actually have two primary pairs, and then I have a few secondary pairs as well. Euro USD and GBP USD are my top primary pairs. I'm a big fan of these two because they work very nicely. I've just mastered these really over the years. GBP USD has been the one that's always been with me. Euro USD I've been trading solely for quite some time now as well, along with that GU. And those are my two primary pairs that I do trade the most. Now, my watch list does adapt over time. I was trading GBP JPY and GBP AUD very heavily last year, or 2020 at the time of recording. And nowadays, I don't really trade those too much. They're very choppy, and I think these are just working best for me. So whatever works best for you, you can obviously just work with. Now, if you do find another currency pair after you've refined your watch list and after you're working with it, and you find a currency pair that you just really like, there is no harm in shifting one of your watch list pairs out and trading it for that one, or just adding it to the list. I think a good amount of pairs to have is between 2 to 5. 5 is a bit of a push. I think best to do what I do here, which is have a couple of secondary pairs, is to have a couple of primary pairs and then a few secondary pairs that you can go to as well. As you can see, the secondary pairs do all cross over with what I have here. So this is Euro USD cross. This is GBP USD cross. So there's the Euro, the dollar, and the pound. And then if we look at some of the other ones, we have AUD USD, which is a USD cross, GBP JPY, which is a GBP cross, and then we have Euro GBP, which is kind of a combo between Euro and GBP there. So they all do kind of correlate, which allows me to keep in tune with the movements they're making. But the most important thing about all of this really is that I have a small little list of pairs that I can focus on primarily, and then a few others that I can go and look at if I want to. Refining your watch list allows you to keep things streamlined and organized, and I definitely recommend going and choosing a few pairs now that you are happy to work with for the long term. And another thing to finally add is, how do you actually set up your watch list in TradingView? Well, you do that by clicking this top button on the far right column, Watch List and Details. And from here, you can actually add on your different currency pairs by just clicking the plus and then typing it in. Okay, so that's how you build a watch list. You can also have multiple watch lists as well. I don't know if this is a pro feature or if you can get this on the free version, but like I said in the previous video, better to not work with the free version anyway. As you can see, I have a few lists in here, altcoins, intraday trade signature, swing trades, and so on. Basically, this allows me to have a crypto list along with my trading list and a few others as well. So to build a watch list, you just do that, and you can have multiple watch lists if potentially you want a crypto watch list, stock watch list, or a commodity watch list with things like gold and oil as well. And that's how you make them. And really, that is all for this video. The best thing for you to do now is, if you already have some market experience, take the top few pairs that you like to trade, put those into a list, and commit to mastering those. And if you don't, probably just roll with the major pairs. The major pairs are going to be the best for you, if you're new to the market, because they have the best prices for trades. You get less commissions, you get better entries, and they also work very, very nicely. And there's always a lot of volume or liquidity in the market, which basically means there's a lot of people buying and selling, so you won't get caught up on orders. Major pairs are things like GBP USD, Euro USD, USD JPY, USD CAD is also quite a good one, NZD USD, different pairs like this. Some of the best ones to use, in my opinion, are Euro USD, GBP USD, GBP JPY, and potentially AUD USD as well, if you do like the idea of that with a little bit more action. So that's how you build a watch list, and that is how you refine it. That is the first thing you should do when you have set up TradingView, and now we are going to get into a little bit more action.